I'd shown my 5-year-old daughter an illustration of Sasquatch in a children's book on monsters. At bedtime, she said she was too scared to sleep. Night after night, she brought him up, big, scary Sasquatch. To calm her, I wrote a story from Bigfoot's perspective, showing how he was really kind and loving, and especially loved kids. But he was scared of humans because they chased and hunted him and called him a monster. But then Bigfoot met a kind little girl who liked to ride on his tall shoulders and cuddle in his belly fur during naps. My daughter smiled at the story, and that night she fell soundly asleep. The power of the written word, the power of empathy. Where more or better do we develop our skills for empathy than through reading and writing stories? As a writer of stories, my job every day is to become someone who is not me. How they see, think, feel. How they talk, how they fight, how they swoon and hate and grieve and forgive. I've written a character who killed his own son in a farming accident. I've written from the perspective of a middle-aged female sheriff. I've written from the point of view of a Baptist pastor mourning the death of his soldier's son. On and on, characters challenging me to understand the world beyond my experiences. In my opinion, the biggest issue facing us is that the desire to empathize is withering. Now we only have our news, our radio, our TiVo, our website, Facebook, schools, me, me, me. Wrapped warmly in the trappings of ourselves, we hope the other will vanish so far into our periphery as to not exist at all. The price, of course, is that we grow separate as a people. Without the skill set of empathy, it becomes less likely for you to understand me, and me to understand you. No one ever needs to admit they're wrong. No one ever needs to learn or change. This phenomenon correlates directly done by a study by the Pew Research that found that 19% of Americans over the age of 16 did not read a single book last year. My hypothesis is simple. My charge direct. We all need to read and write stories. To engage in the daily activity of attempting to understand someone who is not you. From stories, I've lived as a young girl trapped in an attic as Nazis take her town. I've been a boy traveling by a raft down the Mississippi River and have felt deeply conflicted over the issues of slavery. I've been in love with an English lord named Darcy. I've been elephant hunting in Africa. I've been a fireman whose job it is to burn books. The greatest purpose of literature is to allow us to see ourselves, though in a way that's bearable. From stories read, stories written, we live the experiences of love and hate and fear and hope, and we scrutinize corruption and scrutinize justice, bravery and cowardice. Empathy run through reading and writing emboldens or tempers our capacities for these things in reality, not virtual, but actual. Do not judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes. My father preached this to me when I was a child. And that's what a story does. Allows us to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Write a story. Read a story. I don't mean to sound trite by suggesting that writing or reading will heal all wounds or bridge all differences, but only that these activities are the finest tools we have in developing the skill set of empathy that'll make us less egocentric, more accepting, and maybe, just maybe, will allow Bigfoot to come down out of the woods and carry our laughing children upon his wide, warm shoulders.